Tonight on Newswatch, thousands already are casting their ballot in this year's election.
Plus, the situation in Gaza continues to escalate. While here at home, chaos in Congress, the latest from Washington.
And in sports, we are just 1 week away from high school football playoffs. We take a look at tonight's key matchups across the 740. Newswatch starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Andrew Bowlby.
And I'm Parker Kapranica. Welcome to Newswatch. Election Day is under 3 weeks away, and nearly 2,000 voters in Athens County have already cast their ballot. Data from the Athens, Ohio County Board of Elections shows almost 1,000 ballots were received by mail, while just over 900 votes were cast in person at the board's office. A majority of early voting had been done by Democrats, totaling just 1,000 ballots. With the election so close, the Board of Election offices across Ohio are struggling to find poll workers. State leaders say this is because a lot of election workers are concerned about their safety. To help, a new bipartisan bill is being proposed to protect poll workers. The bill would protect personal information of the poll workers and elections officials. Sponsors of the bill say trying to conduct free and fair elections shouldn't be a life or death decision, though the bill won't be passed in time for this year's election. Senators hope the bill will be in effect for the 2024's presidential election. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine is expanding the distribution of emergency naloxone kits. Now, through voluntary enrollment, independent college campuses across the state can request emergency Narcan and fentanyl test strips. Naloxone is administered during an opioid overdose from heroin, fentanyl, or prescription pain medications. You can order naloxone and fentanyl test strips to be delivered to your house through the website naloxone.ohio.gov. The Ohio Department of Health is sounding an alarm bell for cigarettes and e-cigarette users. ODH Director Bruce Vanderhoff's concerns lie with children, particularly those under 5, accidentally ingesting or even coming in contact with the liquid and vaporizer cartridges. The state's warning comes less than 3 weeks from Election Day, when Ohioans will decide whether to legalize the adult use of recreational marijuana, including THC, through cartridges.
Well, it's football weather out tonight, and joining us now is our lead forecaster, Emily Deeds. It was pouring down rain earlier. The bleachers are probably soaked. What can you tell us about the weather during the games, though, tonight?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I hate to say that we're really not going to see a big rainfall tonight. We're going to see a lot of pop-up showers, so can't really tell you for sure if you're going to get rained on or not. It's really just where you are in the area. And if we take a look at what's going on right now on our radar tonight, looking around 4 p.m. this afternoon till about 1 a.m., we once again just see a lot of pop-up showers, so it's really hard to say if you for sure are going to get wet tonight or not. It's really just dependent on where you are, and these are all just going to be pop-up showers, so you may just need a light jacket, may not even need to pop up that umbrella at all, just enough to make you just a little bit wet out tonight. And now for the most part, the reason this is happening is due to this cold front that sort of came through earlier throughout the day today and last night that really pushed a lot of this warm air up into the atmosphere, creating these clouds and a lot of this precipitation that we really saw throughout the day today. And we're just sort of seeing lingering out behind us. But for things right now down here in southeast Ohio, we're looking at about 55 degrees right now with those overcast skies, and a lot of this rain is putting a lot more moisture into the atmosphere, so it's getting pretty humid out as well. And we're also seeing temperatures around the area pretty similar, so if you're going to those football games tonight, make sure to bring a jacket because we're just going to see a decline from these 50s that we're seeing. Zanesville 55, Lancaster and Athens both around 54, and tonight it'll be a low of 43. So once again, if you're going to be outside, make sure to bring the jacket to protect you from both that rain and that chilly weather. Be sure to stay tuned to my full forecast. We're going to look at this nice weather coming up for this week. Back over to the desk.
2 mothers are fundraising money for the playgrounds over at Alexander Elementary School so their children can play. The goal is to make the playground more inclusive and accessible. News reporter Harshita Singhania from the Post, Ohio University's independent student-run newspaper, joins us to tell us more about the project. Thanks for being here. Can you first just tell us, why did this project start for the playground?
Lisa Vigal and Anna Corpier, 2 mothers, and their children use wheelchairs and have sensory processing challenges. They noticed a widening gap between able-bodied children and children with disabilities. And that is when they decided to approach Vice Principal Richard Mesquil in 2021 to get the project started, to have more inclusive play structures, not just for physical disabilities, but for invisible disabilities as well.
Yeah, so can you tell us about the four major phases rather, that are in this project?
There are four main phases. They're PLAY, play. Phase P, the phase that they're currently in and fundraising for, involves getting rid of the existing structure and replacing it with a more inclusive structure in Playground Area 1. And Phase L looks at the same thing but over at Playground Area 2. And Phase Y will replace all of the mulch. Mulch is ADA compliant but poses a lot of challenges for wheelchair and crutch users, and that will be replaced with poured in place rubber. And finally, Phase Y looks at Playground Area 3, which is used by children from pre-K and kindergarten, and that are all of the four phases.
Yeah, so what kind of impact is this going to have on the community?
Both Corpi and Vigal emphasized and stressed the importance of learning from peers and learning during playtime. So this will not only reduce the gap between able-bodied and disabled children, but also enable them to foster better relationships and connections.
Yeah, and if people want to donate to the project, where can they do that?
They also emphasize on the importance of every dollar counting, and they're just $40,000 shy of their goal that they need to meet by Thanksgiving. They can visit, interested people can visit www.alexanderinclusive.org/donate, and they have more information on the phases and photos and about anything you'd want to find out about the playground.
Yeah, again, thank you so much for being here and telling us a little bit more. If you want to read her full story, go to thepostathens.com and you can take a look under the news section. Coming up after the break, the House still has no speaker as the president calls on Congress to pass aid for Israel. And though military aid is yet to make its way to the region, humanitarian aid is making its way into Gaza tonight.
After a little bit more rain coming up this weekend, we're expecting a nice warm week next week. Stay tuned to Newswatch to find out how this will impact you.
During the Armenian genocide, 14-year-old Aurora lost everything. Through vivid animation and century-old footage, experience a forgotten story of survival.
And that's me, Aurora.
Aurora's Sunrise on POV.
Monday at 10 on WOUB.
Better than ever, gonna be great. This is the moment that history's made. Nothing can stop us, ain't seen nothing yet. The lights are on and now the stage is set. This is the day a new dawn is near. The future's here. Welcome to the future.
If you want your life to get better, you got to fight for it.
Welcome to the future.
She just disappeared off the face of the planet.
I want her to know that I'm not mad at her.
Mom?
5 years ago, I was diagnosed with ALS.
Where is the mother of the bride?
Welcome to the future.
I am an American, and I have every right like anybody else.
You have to figure out and learn where you come from.
Future.
Why do we need to talk about race in medicine?
Why talk about race?
That's a great question.
Not knowing where to start, we often choose inaction.
But we know this has to change.
It is important to call it out.
We need everyone's perspective to come together.
We turn to our friends and colleagues and ask them to tell us their stories.
This show is an invitation to settle in and listen.
Thursday at 10 on WOUB.
Representative Jim Jordan is bowing out of the House Speaker race after Republicans removed him as their nominee. The decision to remove Jordan comes after he once again fell short during a third round of voting in the U.S. House by an even wider margin this afternoon. The final vote was 194 for Jordan and 210 for Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
I told the conference it was an honor to be their speaker designee, but I felt it was important that we all know, get an answer to the question if they wanted me to continue in that role. And so we put the question to them. They made a different decision. We need to come together and figure out who our speaker is going to be.
It is unclear when a new nominee will be named.
Israeli politicians are peeling back the curtain. Israeli politicians are peeling back the curtain on what a ground invasion into Gaza would look like as humanitarian aid is entering the war-torn region. Mike Valerio has the latest, and we need to warn you, some of these images and subject matter are graphic and may be hard to hear or see.
Blasts cut through the darkness of the occupied West Bank as Israel Defense Forces search for alleged Hamas operatives. Israel is now warning a ground invasion of Gaza is imminent.
Our troops are ready, equipped, prepared, and armed with both ammunition and a clear mission.
The European Union is now concerned the war will overflow into other parts of the world.
The risk of a regional spillover is real. And this is exactly what Hamas was hoping to achieve. And this can derail the recent and historic rapprochement between Israel and its Arab neighbors.
Now, with fears of a humanitarian crisis in Gaza spiraling out of control, Egypt has opened the gates to the Rafah crossing. Crews are repairing and repaving roads as humanitarian aid vehicles sit and wait to enter.
The shortages are going to kill many people. It's absolutely life or death at this point.
Israel reports around 200 hostages are in the Gaza Strip, including bodies of dead loved ones being held for ransom. The majority of the hostages are believed to be alive.
All people abducted by Hamas and Islamic Jihad and in Gaza, they have to be unconditionally and immediately released. Holding hostages this way is a war crime.
Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Mike Valerio.
One small sign of progress in the Middle East as Hamas releases 2 American hostages. The militant group handed Judith Tai Raanan and her 17-year-old daughter Natalie Raanan over to Israeli forces today. An Israeli Defense Forces official confirms the 2 are in the care of the IDF. The mother and daughter are from Chicago, and they are the only hostages to be released among what is thought to be about 200 being held.
If you're in search of a snowy winter, there's a new forecast to help you make your plans. Federal forecasters release an outlook pointing to a classic El Nino winter. Karine Kaifa is in Washington with a look where to seek snow or sunshine.
Winter will be wetter and warmer in parts of the U.S. thanks to El Nino, a natural ocean and weather pattern in the tropical Pacific.
What typically can happen in those cases is that the U.S. And Alaska is impacted by much more air of Pacific Ocean origin, which is generally warmer.
That forecast, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. But John Gottschalk of NOAA's Climate Prediction Center says you should still unpack the winter coats.
There will be certainly periods of below normal temperatures. There'll be those Arctic outbreaks. What we're saying basically is more that there may be less of them and of shorter duration potentially this year.
And the snow boots. El Nino brings the potential for more precipitation, especially in the northeast where it could deliver 2 or 3 major snowstorms. An above average precipitation as rain, snow, or icy mix that's forecast from the plains to the southwest could be welcomed after a summer of extreme drought.
Overall, it could be very much a needed benefit relief for the drought conditions that are occurring in those areas.
Looking back on hallmarks of recent El Nino winters, the 2018-19 season saw the wettest winter on record for the U.S. mainland, according to NOAA, and a very strong El Nino during the 2015-16 winter contributed to the warmest winter on record for the U.S. mainland. In Washington, I'm Karen Kaifa.
Now, Emily, it feels like this week has been a little bit chillier. Temperatures are working their way down at night. We see a little bit of rain, but can we expect snow anytime soon?
Well, unfortunately, we're actually going to see a spike in temperatures going up next week, so no snow on the forecast, although I'm really looking forward to what would hopefully be a snowy winter, but unfortunately it doesn't seem like it. And like they just said, it's all dependent on everything else as well. El Nino is just a small part. We could see some Arctic winds come down, some Arctic weather that could give us some lovely, lovely snow. But if we take a look at what's currently going on outside, we are nowhere near those snowy conditions at all, although we are in some pretty fall-like conditions outside. It's about 55 degrees with some overcast skies. We've seen some sprinkle of rain here and there throughout the day, and it's largely caused by this cold front that moved through over the past couple of hours, sweeping up this warm air and creating these clouds and this rainy weather that we're starting to see, and it's actually starting to lighten up now. So we're just expecting some little pockets of rain showers as we move throughout the evening. Now, what this cold front means for us as far as temperatures goes, as I'm sure you all felt, we are down into the 50s for a little bit, but taking a look at what's behind it, across the Great Plains area, we are in the mid-70s again, and we're expecting a bit of a shift going on into next week. So we're going to see this chilly weather hang out with us for a little bit longer today, a little bit into this weekend, but by next week, we're going to see a bit of high pressure start to roll in, and I'll talk more about that in just a minute. But for tonight, it's going to be another chilly night tonight, 43 degrees outside with a 40% chance of showers possible. And those showers are going to be really pop-ups. So once again, if you're planning on heading to any sports games this evening, make sure to bring that rain jacket because these are very brief, small pop-up showers that are just going to be enough to get you wet and just a little uncomfortable this evening as you're sitting there all bundled up in your jacket. So just a heads up that these showers are going to be coming your way until about 1 in the morning. That's when we really start to see a lot of these really push away. And tonight, there's that system that's really pushing away from us and just the edge of that rain and that cloud coverage. So by tomorrow, we'll start to see things clear up just a little bit with that 40% chance of showers really in the late evening times on Saturday. And I'll talk about that here in just a second. But tomorrow we'll see high of 59. So if you have any early morning sports games, we'll just be seeing some cloudy skies as well. So be sure to bring your jacket out, and it will be a bit wet outside from this rainy weather. So you may want to wear some closed-toed shoes to not get mud all over your feet. And it'll be another chilly night with a low of 42. Now tomorrow we do see another low pressure system starting to develop out to the west, but it's actually not going to have a lot of impact on our area. What we're really focusing on is what's going to the north of us near Michigan is this cold front with this rain sort of starting to set up, and that's going to start to sink down into Ohio tomorrow night, really across the northeast area, sort of along the diagonal, producing a bit more rain, especially as we go into Sunday. Down here in southeast Ohio, we're just on the edge of it, so there's a really 50% chance of showers that day. But if you live a bit to the northwest, or if you're traveling up to the northwest, make sure to pack that rain jacket, pack that umbrella, because it's going to be another chilly, wet day for you on Sunday. So Sunday, we're looking at those partly sunny skies for here in southeast Ohio. But once again, if you're over to the northeast of us, you're going to be seeing some rain. It's going to be 55, and that's partly due to that rain-cooled air and due to that cold front moving through. And a look on Monday, we're going to see that start to clear out as a high-pressure system starts to move through, and it'll start to warm things up because we're going to see a lot more sunshine poking through. And Tuesday is going to be a pretty warm day, high of 71. So really nice week looking for next week, especially with Halloween and trick-or-treat starting. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Emily. Still ahead, how to keep your bones healthy. And for the latest from Newswatch, check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
It's incredible. It's like going back in a time machine.
The most amazing thing about life is how it bounces back.
Our spies find ways of thinking that must be seen to be believed.
This is the closest our planet has ever been to going back to square one.
There was a huge amount of competition to show off who was really ahead in the progress race.
Wednesday on WOUB.
I can come home and I can find myself in a place that's very much like Mars. Growing up on the Navajo Reservation area, never would have thought that I would have ended up in a place like NASA.
We've helped in building community. We're part of the wave. We throw up our light and then people will gather.
We're gonna help their dreams for the future come true.
Tuesday at 9 on WOUB.
Did you follow me to my house?
Look, I wouldn't normally do this, but what if your daughter never got to meet your son?
You should go to Long Pine Reserve.
I'm looking for any public record to help me find my sister.
I didn't know Dora had a sister.
Do you have any sense of where she might be?
I can't keep track of her.
I've been looking for you.
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
We're often referred to in the history books in the past tense, but here we are in the present, and we're going full force.
Native women are strong and resilient.
My people in the Buffalo have a shared history. She's a warrior.
It's about representing ourselves in the way we see ourselves.
We're scientists, we're engineers, we're doctors. We're doing things to make a difference in this world.
Welcome back. Today is World Osteoporosis Day, a time dedicated to raising awareness about a disease causing bones to become brittle and fragile. Mandy Gaither has more on how to keep your skeleton safe.
It's a common bone disease, but osteoporosis is undertreated and underdiagnosed.
It makes you more susceptible to fracturing your bones, breaking bones with minimal to no trauma.
As our age goes up, our bone mass can go down, especially in women after menopause, says Dr. Christine Jablonski with Orlando Health.
90% of our skeleton is built when we are young. So we have until our 20s, maybe our 30s to build up to our peak bone mass.
Jablonski says to remember bones to keep your skeleton safe and avoid scary injuries. B is for body weight. Being under or overweight can impact bone density and quality. Maintaining a healthy weight is key. O, no more than 1 drink a day, as chronic heavy alcohol use can affect bone health and raise risk of osteoporosis later in life. N, no smoking, as it weakens bones. E, exercise.
Resistance training with lighter weights if you do have osteoporosis, so you're not putting too much stress on your spine.
Finally, S is for supplements. Calcium and vitamin D are both critical to improve and maintain bone mass. If you're not getting enough in your diet, Jablonski recommends 1,000 milligrams daily for younger women and men under the age of 70 and 1,200 milligrams a day for postmenopausal women and men over 70. For vitamin D, the recommended dose is between 400 and 800 international units daily based on age. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Now joining us in Wheelersburg is Gridiron Glory host Grayson Wolf. Grayson, what are the games that we need to pay attention to tonight?
Parker, it's a huge night as we've hit the final week of the regular season. With playoffs right around the corner and conference races wrapping up, there are plenty of high-octane, high-volume, high-pressure matchups that we'll see tonight. Our game of the week features Portsmouth West and Wheelersburg. The Senators beat the Pirates last year in this game to take home the SOC2 title. Jeffrey Bishop is the Senators' star. They'll line him up all over the offense. He's a wide receiver by trade with 15 touchdowns. He also has 7 interceptions on the defensive side of the ball for the first 9 games. The man that'll try to keep it away from Bishop is sophomore Braylon Rucker of Wheelersburg. His main connection was with Devin Lattimore, but they'll get a ton of help with his defense. The Pirates have only given up 1 touchdown and a total of 7 points in all of SOC play so far this season. And as we stand here right now, the weather might play a factor in this one. Nelsonville York looks to bounce back from their heartbreaking CBC Ohio title game loss. They welcome in Athens for 2nd place in the conference on the legs of Gavin Richards. As for the Bulldogs, they're one of the most improved teams this year in Southeast Ohio. With a win tonight, they'll have 4 more wins than a year ago, largely because of the play from quarterback Braden Young. Meadowbrook has been trending in the wrong direction since starting 4-1. They have dropped 4 straight before tonight's matchup with West Muskingum. Meanwhile, Rashid Sasay and the Tornadoes are rolling right along. Sasay is currently sitting at 34 total touchdowns on the season. With 2 scores tonight, he will break the MDL single-season touchdown record. Andrew Potts and McLean are looking for their first playoff berth in school history outside of when everyone made it in 2020. They will lean on the big running back on offense to keep up with this Hillsborough offense that's been averaging 30 points a game. Their season high is 56 from a few weeks ago. Mason Dumpert and Austin Barrett will be the 1-2 punch on that side of the ball. And finally, Gallia Academy hits the road after their loss to Ironton. Kenyon Franklin and company are looking to lock up a home playoff game in Week 11 with a win. South Point is the only team standing in their way, and the Pointers are looking for their first winning season since 2013, as they sit currently at 5-4, and they seem to be safely in the playoffs with a win or loss this evening.
Now, in the digital rundown, I hear there's an unexpected team this week.
That's right, Parker. Federal Hawking football is back, and the Lancers highlight our digital game rundown. Dylan Westmeyer will be in studio tonight to walk us through how the rejuvenation of the Fed Hawk football program is going. Fort Fry and Waterford meet in a matchup that is a classic here in Southeast Ohio. Both the Wildcats and Cadets are fighting for playoff seeding in regions 23 and 27, respectively. Paint Valley lost their chance at an SBC title a week ago, but a win over Zane Trace tonight would put them in second place all by themselves. And our last game features Philo welcoming in Maysville as the Electrics control their own destiny in Region 15. Also on tonight's episode 10, Cameron Nupp will be in studio all evening, taking you through all of Southeast Ohio's Week 11 matchups. And I'll take you through the 14 players that'll have a chance to win Gridiron Glory Season 24 Player of the Year. So be right here on WOUB at 11:30 tonight.
Wow, Grayson, it sounds like a great lineup. Thanks for your work. When we return, Sound of the Stars. NASA receives a mysterious blast of radio waves. But first, here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
Saturday at 10 on WOUB.
This is for you.
You got grit, I can tell you never gonna quit. No, not even for a split second. Counting all your blessings. You got personality like Christmas got his presents, and I like it. Yeah.
I always want to create something that's gonna mean something.
That's fabulous. And I like it. Yeah.
Dare me to do something.
Don't stop, honey, gotta do your thing. I like it. Don't stop, honey, gotta do your thing.
I really want to show the world how beautiful our culture is.
There was more similarities than differences. It makes us happy. It makes us feel good.
Yeah. So spread those golden wings, we're gonna shine like the stars. Got the
It is part of our unique story, all of us together.
This is our special time.
I like it.
Salute!
Honey, gotta do your thing.
We're going intergalactic.
Don't stop, honey.
We're going to make memories.
I like it.
Hidden deep beneath the Cumberland Mountains in Grundy County, Tennessee, lies one of the world's most magical musical adventures, the Cavern Sessions. 3 million years in the making, Pure Acoustics offer music from the heart of the American experience, center stage and deep inside the mountain. This time welcoming Harley, Kimbrough, and Lewis. It's deep down musical diversity at the Cavern Sessions.
Friday at 11 on WOUB.
Finally tonight, astronomers have detected a mysterious blast of radio waves that took 8 billion years to reach Earth. The fast radio burst, or FRB, is an intense millisecond-long burst of radio waves with unknown origins. This is one of the most distant and energetic ever observed. Scientists believe bursts could be used to weigh the universe by measuring the matter between galaxies that remain unaccounted for. Now let's throw it over to Emily to take a final look at our weather.
Thank you. Tonight is looking like another chilly night tonight with a low of 43 and that 40% chance of showers possible. It's going to be really pop-up showers. Tomorrow, however, we're going to see another high of 59, so pretty similar to today. Another cloudy day ahead of us. We see that 40% chance of showers, but that's mainly in the late evening hours tomorrow. And Sunday, it's going to look like we're just on the edge of that rainy system, but for the most part, it's going to be partly sunny skies here, and we're expecting a warming up going into next week.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For Grayson Wolf and Emily Dietz, I'm Andrew Bowlby.
And I'm Parker Pronica. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. Have a great weekend.
Stop skimming.
Stop scrolling.